how to think about PTSD and moral injury. Many of our emotional disruptions are normal responses to abnormal events. Though most of us aren't diagnosable for a mental or emotional health disorder, we will all benefit from leveling up our health in these areas. A. No one tapes over the check engine light. Imagine the check engine light in your car illuminates. Do you ignore it? Do you place a bit of tape over it so that you can't see it? Or do you take a deeper look, perhaps taking the car to a mechanic or even popping the hood yourself if you're handy? We intuitively know that when the light comes on, it signifies something bigger than the bulb itself. That is, the light, a sign, points us to a greater reality, something we need to investigate. And following up on that issue could save us a significant amount of time and money. No one wants a costly repair from an overheated engine when we can easily stop to add coolant, or a burn-up motor from a lack of oil when a few quick quarts resolves the matter. Those are usually simple fixes. And when they're not, they're easier and less costly than the alternatives. Throughout this book and audio resource, we will explore two important facets of our health, the soul and the spirit. We'll affirm we often feel pains no one can see. Our tendency is to ignore these hurts. That's the equivalent of just letting the bulb continue flashing. Or it's to deal with them in unhealthy ways. That's the equivalent of duct taping over that check engine light. Or it's even to numb out and push them aside, which might be akin to unplugging the check engine light. But what if emotional or even spiritual pain really is like that light? What if the invisible scars serve to alert us to something inside that we need to address? What if they highlight a deeper reality? Something we might otherwise miss, something destined to certainly cause more harm and costlier repairs if left unchecked. Our bodies often get wounded when we push them, whether intentionally or not, beyond the limits of what they're designed to tolerate. We burn our hand, or we touch a hot stove, or we get frostbite if we're outside in the cold for too long without the proper gear. Our heart rate escalates too high too quickly if we hit our upper cardio limit. Our stomach gets queasy if we ingest too many toxins. Our bones break. Those are all normal responses to hitting physical thresholds. Well, you and I have internal boundaries too. Soul thresholds, spiritual thresholds. When the soul or the spirit are pushed beyond their natural God-ordained, God-created limits, we often feel those pains too. Many of the mental, emotional, and even spiritual hurts we feel are related to PTSD and moral injury. In the same way, you can't repair an engine by covering up the warning light. You can't cover emotional and spiritual pains with alcohol, with drugs, or even some other quick fix. Moreover, ignoring the light inside of you, the soul, the spirit, it doesn't resolve the deeper issues. Perhaps you've even tried that. I have. At some point, we realize you and I need to address each of these issues head on. We need to pop the proverbial hood and take a look at what's happening inside of us. Well, that's the goal in this short book. B. Approach invisible scars the way you address physical wounds. We need to address two issues related to PTSD before we go farther.
First, there is a growing debate about the word disorder, as many people believe it carries a stigma that may hinder some people from seeking help.
Generally, people opposing the use of the word disorder prefer substituting the word injury or syndrome or even omitting disorder completely. You may have heard someone refer to post-traumatic stress, PTS, post-traumatic stress injury, PTSI, or post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSS. Some even use other acronyms such as PTS and then a little d, a lowercase d, PTS, lowercase d. Now, this is all certainly an important discussion, but since PTSD, all capital, is the term used for diagnosis purposes in the current DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, it is the identification we use throughout this book. Again, DSM, we'll refer to it multiple times throughout this resource, is the commonly used shorthand for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for mental disorders. That's the criterion professionals use to identify and treat 70 plus mental and emotional wounds. Second issue.
Second, some people believe PTS is when you have PTSD for a short amount of time, and PTSD is when it's bigger or you carry the invisible scars for a longer period of time.
For certain, many first responders and military personnel face trauma-inducing circumstances. They are affected by them, and then they move forward without long-term ramifications. Thankfully, this is most often the case. Or to just say it another way, time does heal many of our wounds, but time certainly doesn't heal all wounds. Anyway, this PTS or PTSD, that's not how licensed mental health professionals view the PTS or PTSD question. Rather, PTSD refers to the official diagnosis. Now, one of the resources provided in the back of this book, I'll put a link down below, is the PTSD Post-Traumatic Stress Self-Check. While writing the book Warrior Hope for veterans, we located the test on a VA Veteran Affairs website. Now, we encourage you to self-assess using the quick 10-question Q&A. It's provided in the appendix of this book, or you can take a link down below. It's also available in multiple places online. Now, the point of a self-assessment, it is not to diagnose, it is not to treat, it is not to prescribe. It is simply to just get a baseline of where you are and really identify, are there some things that perhaps I would benefit from working on? And the answer for most of us is absolutely yes, as we'll see in just a moment. Now, the version of the test in this resource, it lists 8 indicators related to PTSD. As of the time we began researching this issue, veterans are required to meet all 8 in order to receive a formal diagnosis. In addition to checking yes on all 8 of those indicators, 3 more factors come into play. Number 1, the trauma must link to a specific event which they can recall to a licensed professional. Number 2, they must affirm 2 additional specifications. That is, the indicators here, the specifications. The person has to either depersonalize the issue, meaning they say something like, this didn't really happen to me, and they feel that. They've just isolated, disassociated, as if they're living in a dream world, or they must derealize it, meaning none of this is real. This never occurred. Furthermore, number 3, at least 6 months must pass between the onset of the issue and the date of the formal diagnosis. So, even if symptoms occur immediately, time needs to elapse to prove the issue remains an ongoing concern. Again, that phrase, time does not heal all wounds, but it certainly does remedy some of them. Now, in our opinion, there are 2 red flags about these 3 additional qualifiers. Doesn't mean they're irrelevant, it just means, hey, red flag, let's check this out.
Red flag number 1. First, many times it's difficult to hitch soul wounds to a specific event,
which is required in point number 1 above. Traumatic feelings are often the result of a series of wounds, not just one specific event. For instance, a couple of examples here. If a soldier survives multiple deployments and takes gunfire numerous times, but only feels the emotional pain after she slows down enough to catch her breath and assess what happened, how can she necessarily pinpoint which precise moment birthed the trauma? It's a good question. Another example, if a first responder responds to numerous calls and instantly goes into adrenaline overdrive every single time an alarm sounds, which exact call in their past calls that automatic hyper alert response? It's another good question. To use a civilian example, if a spouse is verbally berated by his wife such that gaslighting and name calling and psychotic control occur on a monthly, if not weekly basis for decades, is it any less real because he can't determine the exact moment it began to feel less like a regular marital spat and more like one-sided, heavy-handed abuse? One more example. If you look back in your past and realize there are multiple layers of pain, how do you sort through them to determine which one is the specific pain point to define as the single culprit? Do you see what I mean? Because of the nature of life and the changing dynamics of human relationships, in most situations, it's mind-bending, if not impossible, to determine which exact instance of trauma is the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. And sure, some trauma is akin to getting handed a 500-pound dumbbell, and you can pinpoint precisely when it was handed to you. Most traumas are more like receiving a 5-pounder one day, a 10-pounder 2 weeks later, a 2-pounder a few weeks after that, a 12-pounder the following day, a 1-pounder days later, and without time to acknowledge and heal those little t traumas, they often compound and create more cumulative weight than a simple single 500-pounder.
Trauma, big T and little t. Big T refers to large-scale traumatic events that impact a person. Some trauma is akin to getting handed a 500-pound dumbbell, and you can pinpoint exactly when it was handed to you. Most trauma is more like receiving a 5-pounder one day, a 10-pounder 2 weeks later, a 2-pounder a few weeks after that, a 12-pounder the following day, a 1-pounder days later, and without time to acknowledge and heal those little t traumas, they often compound, pound upon pound, and create more cumulative weight than the 500-pound big T trauma. Trauma not only includes what happens, but it also encompasses our responses to it.
Red flag number 2. Second, the greater issue isn't whether or not you receive a diagnosis. The bigger issue is soul health.
The bigger issue is health. Now, for certain, if getting a diagnosis is the path towards health for you, that's the route you need to go. Absolutely. For most of us, though, simply acknowledging the pain point and talking through it with others who understand and living with a greater awareness of the triggering events in our lives so we know what to do when we encounter them again, that is enough. C. Mental, emotional, and spiritual health isn't a yes or no proposition. It's about making progress. And one psychologist we talked with explained mental health disorders, and there's the word again, like this. Now, full disclosure, I visited him while getting my results from a psych eval he administered to me.
Think of all these issues, PTSD, moral injury, and anything else you could be diagnosed for, not as yes or no concerns.
What do you mean? I asked. He continued,
Don't look at PTSD, for instance, as if you have it or you don't, as if you're diagnosable or not. Think about it like a sliding scale, which is how most health issues actually work. For instance, most of us aren't clinically obese. We're not at the BMI where a physician would classify us in that way. Or to say it another way, we're not diagnosable for obesity.
but, I interjected, most of us would feel better if we dropped a few pounds.
Exactly. That's how you need to look at mental health issues. The majority of us aren't in the red zone. But we do have room for improvement. And chances are that improvement will better every area of our lives.
Now, here's what I want you to do. Evaluate your mental health the same way you consider your physical health. Think about it like this. If you had 70% use of your lungs, an 85% functioning heart, or 75% near perfect vision, you wouldn't just think, good enough, I'm not diagnosable for something fatal. No, you would rightly seek a greater degree of health in each of these areas.
Health, a measure of our overall wholeness. Our actual measure of wholeness considers our body, our soul, and our spirit. An honest assessment evaluates how many toxins we allow in, as well as how many deficiencies we have. Toxins are elements that are harmful when present at a certain levels, and deficiencies are things we need but don't get enough of. Examples of toxins include things we shouldn't eat, thoughts we shouldn't dwell on, and stress. Examples of deficiencies include not getting enough rest and sleep, hydration, exercise and movement, etc. When toxins go down and deficiencies get shored up, our health quotient escalates almost automatically.
Think about mental health the same way. If you take the quick assessment in the back of the book or in the links down below, you probably won't score a 0. Even though you're not likely to check all 8 boxes plus the 2 additional qualifiers, there are 3, but they're kind of grouped together in 2 questions. Even though you're not likely to check all 10, which is required to receive a diagnosis for PTSD, you will identify, if you're like most military personnel and first responders and just people, you'll identify with several. Now, sure, you could look at your results and say, oh, I'm not diagnosable. I knew it. I don't have it. Or you can wisely review the pain points and assess, I would benefit from a little work in this area and maybe from that area. Yeah, my check engine light, it does seem to come on from time to time. D, reframe it. Normal responses to abnormal events don't make you abnormal. Before moving to the core content of this book, let's reframe the entire mental health conversation. Here it is. Heroes take the very best of themselves to the absolute worst of situations. You are called upon to perform in situations that by their very nature are elevated. You do so because of your training, your bravery, and the fact that you chose to serve at this high level. While discussing the content of this book with the local fire chief, he straight up declared to me, "We are the fixers." That's what he said. We're the fixers. He said it extremely well. We call upon you to fix things that are broken because we can't. But you cannot continue giving the best of yourself and taking the worst of circumstances without addressing the invisible scars you inevitably collect by the very nature of the work you have done and often continue to do. Over and over, you walk away with a deficit in your mental and emotional and even spiritual health account. Furthermore, now catch this, it wouldn't be normal to not be affected by the things you've endured, and again, in many cases, continue to experience. Though you must compartmentalize while in the line of duty, it's not normal to lose close friends. It's not normal to come face to face with the destruction you see. It's not normal to always be on call for others, even when you're off, and to not be affected. To be unchanged by the situations you experience would not be healthy.
Compartmentalization. To set something to the side, including an emotional issue or potential distraction, so you can, at least momentarily, focus on something else needing greater attention in the moment. Heroes are trained to deal with the immediate threat at hand, making them adept at this. An application would be, many heroes suggest that emotions can get you hurt or killed. In the line of duty, they are correct. You must compartmentalize the concern and move on. However, compartments, by their very nature, only have a limited amount of space. Anytime you compartmentalize something, you must take it out in a healthy way and process or inventory it. If you continue filling the box, it will likely burst or explode in an unhealthy way.
Another first responder, after hearing this perspective on the issue, he said, no, that wouldn't be healthy at all. To not be affected by what I've been through just on the calls I've had over the past few months, that would even be psychotic or psychopathic. Or he started filling in all the gaps, and I remember speaking to him and saying, I don't know that I would go that far, but you get the idea. In the same way injuries are often part of the job physically, so also are mental and emotional injuries, especially when you're pushed beyond the limits, as we discussed earlier.
We got dispatched to the report of a girl cut up on her neighbor's porch. It was the neighbor that was calling for a girl that was their neighbor that was on their porch that had been cut up.
Now, throughout this resource, one thing we've tried to do is include actual stories from various heroes, from veterans, first responders, paramedics, law enforcement officers, others, so that in those you can somehow perhaps identify and realize that even though the stories are different and the details differ, there are some common themes. This is the story of one paramedic, first responder, firefighter.
To preface the whole story, it was a day that everybody was out of school because it was one of those Alabama snow days where they say it's going to snow and it never does. And the way that the dispatch, said it, made it sound like it was more of a, maybe cut up by some brush or had been scratched or something like that. When we arrived on scene, she was laying on her neighbor's front porch. They had covered her in blankets, and the only thing showing was her face that was covered in blood. So me and the other paramedic on scene, we started removing the blankets from her, trying to find out where she had actually been cut and where the blood was coming from. Once we got the blankets unwrapped, she had defense wounds on both her forearms where she had been hit with a machete, and both her hands were hanging on by skin and bone. And then she had also had defense wounds, or almost like she was running away. She had been hit in the back of the head with the machete as well. So a majority of the blood was coming from her hands and the back of her head. It wasn't until later that we found out that her mom hit her with the machete because she had stolen some money. I believe that it was she took $5 out of her mom's purse.
So was it $5 that she was, in her mind, and you may not know, stealing, or was it, oh, hey, we're going to go down to the Quick Mart or the Food World or whatever? And
yeah, I mean, I can only assume that that's what, it was $5 that she was going to go down here and, get a snack or something like that. I have no idea, but that's what I would imagine. Yeah, probably. It didn't seem like she was doing it. I mean, she was, not to, make it like, she was right or wrong, but, it seemed like, she wasn't doing anything, wrong. Just, like, I think everybody probably does that with their mother, hey, Mom, can I borrow $5 or whatever?
Yeah.
Or, anything like that. And so, but it led to her mom attacking her, with a machete. And that's why she had done this. But, she was wearing pajamas, and I just couldn't help but feel like here's this young girl that, is just trying to enjoy her break from school on a snow day. And her mom, hits her with a machete out of the blue. It did just so happen that police were coming as well, because it was kind of a questionable type thing. And as we were on scene working on the patient, the cops were actually kicking in the door next door, and you could hear them yelling and arresting the mother. And so we transported her to the hospital, everything like that. It wasn't until the end of my shift that when I was headed home, I just remember driving and getting home and not remembering how I got home, or really the drive. There was actually a news article about it on WBRC, I think.
A Central Alabama mother accused of attacking her own daughter with a machete, now charged with domestic violence and attempted murder. The 18-year-old victim suffered severe injuries to her arms, hands, and skull. But we're told the incident happened yesterday at a home in North Jefferson County. Investigators with the sheriff's office say it appears the attack centered on a disagreement over money.
This one, I actually had found her on Instagram. I don't know I don't know if that's an okay thing to do, but I found her on Instagram, and I messaged her just to see how she was doing. And she told me that they were able to reconstruct her hands, and she'd only lost a couple fingers, and everything was going to be okay. She was actually an artist, and she made masks for the haunted house in Pinson. So she was an art student at Pinson High School, and then she was also she for the Pinson Sanitarium at the time had their haunted house. She was an artist that helped design their masks and makeup and stuff.
E. Heroes have the right to bleed. In 2001, Five for Fighting released the song Superman, It's Not Easy. According to Wikipedia, the lyrics focus on the well-known hero observing how difficult his life is despite his superpowers, despite his capacity to step in and fix things. Maybe you can relate to this tension of having extraordinary capabilities, high-level training, exceptional capacity, coupled with internal angst. Here are the lyrics to that song. Perhaps you can relate.
I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. I'm just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird, I'm more than a plane, I'm more than some pretty face beside a train. And it's not easy to be me. wish that I could cry, fall upon my knees, find a way to lie about a home I'll never see. It may sound absurd, but don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. I may be disturbed, but won't you concede? Even heroes have the right to dream, and it's not easy to be me. Up again, away, away from me. Well, it's alright. You can all sleep sound tonight. I'm not crazy or anything. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. Men weren't meant to ride with clouds between their knees. I'm only a man, no silly red sheet, digging for kryptonite on this one-way street. Only a man, no phony red sheet, looking for special things inside of me, inside of me, inside of me, inside of me, inside of me. I'm only a man, no phony red sheet. I'm only a man looking for a dream. I'm only a man in the phony red sheet, and it's not easy. It's not easy to be me.
So, for the next 150-ish pages, we are going to explore this tension of being tough and also tender, yet not knowing what to do when the bleeding happens inside and remains unless you let others in and it's there unseen. Here are the 3 topics we'll explore, each in a different part of this book. Topic number 1 of 3, total health, body, soul, and spirit. In chapters 1 and 2, we'll talk about the importance of health in every area of life. In fact, we are already at the conclusion of chapter 1. So that is what we're discussing right now, total health, body, soul, and spirit. Topic number 2, PTSD. In chapters 3 and 4, we discuss post-traumatic stress disorder. Then in chapter 5, we'll show you how in real time to reprocess some of the everyday occurrences that trigger you. Topic number 3, moral injury. In chapter 6 and 7, we consider this less talked about invisible scar, which we believe is actually more prevalent and potentially more lethal than PTSD. All right, we're on this journey. We've got some work to do. Let's keep it going.